Hey everyone, Shannon with Apogee the Moon, coming at you on YouTube and on the Facebook group of the Lilith Society. So, yeah, this is going to be really interesting next week. Really, I'm just going to say it's interesting. That's what I'm going to say. That's all I'm really going to say about it. We got some pretty big shifts coming, just so everyone's aware, and to talk about it. This is a forecast from Sunday, the sun's day, to Saturday, Saturn's day, which is, would be the original week. Anyway, at least that's my opinion. So starting off on the 20th, on Saturday, we have two pretty good things happening, good sized things anyway. So we have the sun moving into Cancer. It's the summer solstice. It's the sun at the height of its power. It's the longest day of the year. It marks the end of spring and the beginning of summer in the northern hemisphere, and the end of fall and the beginning of winter in the southern hemisphere, right? So let's first talk about the solstice point. So the solstice point is when the sun hits 0 degrees of Cancer, right? We're following the equinoxes and the solstice points, right, for modern Western astrology. So this is when the sun hits the height of its power, its zenith, right? It's the highest in the northern hemisphere, which is where a lot of cultures, modern cultures, came from, right? Or at least the culture that's in power. So this is a time when those New Year's resolutions, the goals, the ambitions, and the things that we wanted are coming to fruition, right? And so this is also from the action taken at the equinox in March, when we take action on said goals from the solstice in December. So are you where you wanted to be right now? Are you doing the things you wanted to do when you wrote your goals down at Yule or at the winter solstice in December? Have you checked the list off? Have you gone step by step? Did you write anything down? Where are you in that process if you had set goals for this year? So now is the time to evaluate where you wanted to be versus where you currently are. And so now you can adjust. Now you can make the necessary adjustments to the plan, as it were. So nurturing the seedlings and watering what has bloomed to get ready and make way for the coming harvest at the September equinox, when we move into the fall time, or the quieting down, the descent into darkness, right? On the same day that this happens, Jupiter stations to go retrograde. So this is more of an internalized Jupiter when it's retrograde. And what this can mean is that we go inward. When we look at all the growth, all the expansion, all the things that we've done and the steps that we've taken in this Pisces and Aquarius area of our lives. And it's time to reevaluate what has worked, what has not worked, what needs to change. Maybe we've gone a little too hard, too fast, and now we need to take a step back and dive within ourselves and dive within those Piscean waters while it's there. And as it moves back into Aquarius, reevaluating some things in that Aquarius part of our chart as well. And, we need to go within and look at what will come when Jupiter goes direct on October 18th. August, it's not a thing. October, just FYI. So then on the 21st, we do have Venus coming into a really nice trine with Neptune. And so this can be nurturing the people in our lives, this, working with this energy. This is nurturing those that we love and care for, maybe not in a really physical, tangible way, but maybe in the more intangible emotional support, and even creative with Neptune. This can also be nurturing and supporting ourselves. This is highly creative, right? Venus and Neptune work really well together when they're in a really nice trine like this. And in the emotional waters, this can be highly creative with, painting, or, something that is more abstract, or something that is less physical and more Neptunian, right? So that's why I'm saying painting, drawing, you know, abstract art, using maybe computer programs or something like that to create artwork or something like that. But this is also creative. And so creativity can be limitless with this aspect, which is really good. And we kind of need that right now, I think, personally. So it's kind of like a gimme from the universe. Like, it's a really positive thing that's happening. Don't blink or you'll miss it. You know, and then on the 22nd, we do have Mercury stationing and go direct. Ooh, ooh. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm really excited about this one. I don't necessarily know excitement is the word I want to use, but I'm just happy that the retrograde is over. And we're wrapping up and completing and putting to bed all the mercurial Gemini things that we've had to reevaluate. And, you know, it is within a 3-degree orb of the June 10th eclipse. So, you know, this says that part of the unfoldment and the things that we need to take care of in our minds, in our social groups, you know, if this is an air chart, in our communications, you know, on paper, within the community, what have you. Mercury will be in post shadow until around July 6th or July 7th, you know, still in square with Neptune. So you need to definitely still intuit what needs to be done. And until Mercury moves out of Gemini and into Cancer, even in Cancer, it doesn't really. In Cancer, we'll see a more emotional Mercury, but we'll get there when we get there. Now, on the 23rd, the sun will be coming into an exact trine with Jupiter retrograde, and Venus will be opposing Pluto. So we got some really interesting things going on. With the sun in trine with Jupiter, this can be a lazy, kind of relaxing, pleasant time with family and friends. With Venus opposing Pluto, this can be a little intense for relationships. So with Pluto retrograde and Venus both opposing Pluto, right? She's opposing Pluto, but also opposing the area that she's going to retrograde over this December. So this can create power struggles with opposing forces. And know that no matter what, we cannot control other people. You cannot control what other people do. This is a control aspect, especially with the opposition to Pluto. We can alienate people for sure, you know, but control, no, that's not a thing. You can try. By all means, you can try. But actually controlling someone, that would be breaking their will, and that would be breaking a law. Like, not like a physical law on the books law, but a law of, well, nature. So if you want to learn more about that, you can see Griselda Pacheco. She'll let you know what those laws are for sure. And it's a powerful program she's creating. I'm really excited about it. So, you know, power struggles in relationship in the family unit, intense emotional outbursts and temper tantrums, you know, can happen with oppositions to Pluto. Oppositions to Pluto are fun. They really are. So then on the 24th, we do have one of the main events of the week as well, not just the sun ingressing into Cancer, but also the full moon in Capricorn. So this full moon in Capricorn is still fraught with intensity and conflict. It's going to be a super moon because it's really close. Actually, no, it's not going to be a super moon, is it? Yes, it will be a super moon because the white moon or Selene is at the end degrees of Sagittarius. So yes, it will still be a super moon. So watch out. Full moons obviously bring out a lot of emotional intensity anyway. The moon is going to be very close to the earth at this time. So while the full moon is in opposition to the sun, it's also a time of culmination, completion, finalization, fulfillment, and reevaluation of everything that has transpired. I actually, in speaking of this too, I just watched a video over on Astrolotta's channel with her and an astrologer by the name of Philip, and he was talking about how this actually is part of a culmination completion from those eclipses that we had back in Cancer and Capricorn axis when the nodes were there, but also from about 700 years ago as well. So I definitely would suggest checking that out because that was food for thought for sure on what this full moon could possibly be about. just as a completion and wrapping up of something. And just after the summer solstice with this full moon, you know, we can come into a realization of what's working, what's not, what needs to go for the furtherance and betterment of our own soul, right? Pluto is opposing Venus. Mars is approaching opposition to Saturn. The square between Saturn and Uranus is still going on and very much in effect. We have opportunity though, even with, you know, Jupiter retrograde making a positive aspect to this full moon in Capricorn. You know, Jupiter will be in sextile with the moon and in trine with the sun. So support for our internal growth and expansion for later outward manifestation can occur, you know, if we allow people to help us. And so if we take the counsel of a teacher or we take the counsel of a sage, and that's, you know, learning, education, things like that, but really a much deeper understanding, especially of things that are of a more Piscean nature, spirituality, even astrology, because, you know, that is one of the old rulers of astrology is Pisces. But it's a much deeper understanding and a much more expansive focus on what needs to change. So then on the 25th, Neptune stations to go retrograde. And so Neptune is the planet of the collective. It's the planet of all things nebulous, inconsistency, ephemeral, etheric, magical, mystical, mysterious. Retrograde, it functions much better because, you know, that's mythical, magical, etheric energy focused inward. So this can see a heightened intuition or psychic focus. Psychic and intuitive abilities are seen with retrograde Neptune, a much easier way to access those abilities with Neptune retrograde. It can also mean the universe is within as well. So this can mean that what's happening in the collective is like the micro meets the macro kind of thing. So watch out for that as well. This is a great time to meditate, to dive inward into the depths of our own soul and kind of comb what's there. Utilizing Pluto in sextile to go deep and into the cavernous expanse within, right? Some people call it crossing the abyss. So true nuggets of gold live here if you're willing to dive into the depths and get into the darkness that's there, waiting to be discovered or rediscovered, as the case may be. So since, you know, that is kind of, there's a lot going on next week in terms of the astrology, I am only going to be covering the solstice and the full moon. So that is what I will be covering for all signs coming up. And I will put the timestamps down below because I will be doing the shuffling of the cards. I just have to get them ready because I forgot to do that beforehand. So for you, it'll be a split second. For me, it'll probably be a few minutes. So to start with, let's talk about summer solstice, right? And the full moon in Capricorn. So first out of the gate, Cancer. Hopefully you all can read that. So for Cancer, obviously, this is the sun moving into your sign. If you're Cancer rising, you know, the sun is coming through your ascendant, right? So this is highlighting you. This is highlighting your need for value because this is your second house ruler, right? So this is highlighting you and what you value and shining light on you. So the spotlight's on you, right? Because the sun's moving through your sign. So for people that have their sun in Cancer, right, they're going to have their solar return soon. So this is really exciting news because obviously this is another turn around the zodiac. So for Cancer rising specifically, you know, the sun coming in here, this is coming around to you and your sense of value, your sense of want, need, desire, those types of things, right? So this is also at the opposition of your relationship sector, which is where the winter solstice was. So this is, you know, coming around coming around to highlight you versus your relationships, or you versus your career, or this could be some interesting developments, especially with this full moon, right? The full moon in Capricorn is highlighting the need to balance your needs, wants, and desires against your relationships and the people that you have either business contracts, business partners, close one-to-one relationships, clients, marriage partners, spouses, anyone that really, anyone that is long-term, that you have a contract where you've signed on the dotted line, in terms of, contracts, agreements, negotiations, things like that. So there's a need to balance you against your partners, but this is also a fruition, a culmination, a reevaluation point of your relationships. And so this full moon is highlighting to you what's working, what's not. It's illuminating the people that are in that seventh house for you. And so you could either, be emotionally entangled, or, you could be emotionally done with something that's going on with someone in that seventh house. So there's something like that. And there's a need to balance you against others as well. So, the balance is where it's at. And the full moon is definitely illuminating your other, either your significant other, your business contracts, or your business partnerships. And I think I've talked this to death, really. So we'll move on. Who's next? Capricorn. All right. So Capricorn rising specifically, the sun is moving into your seventh house. So the sun is highlighting your relationships. The sun is highlighting, it gets darker here, come on. The sun is highlighting your business partners, your contracts, your agreements, your negotiations, the people that you associate with in terms of long-term partnerships and business partnerships. And, so your focus is on them. This is, your eighth house ruler coming into the seventh. So this could definitely be a focus on financial contracts as well. Maybe not necessarily your spouse's money. It could be, right? If you're a married Capricorn, or you have a civil union or something like that. It could be a focus on their monies, their materials, or it could be a focus on business partners, and maybe even looking for a loan of some kind. But this full moon that's happening, this is a need to balance yourself against those other partners. So this is your seventh house ruler in the first, which means that there's a culmination of fruition, of completion, and a reevaluation that's happening with your partnerships. But it could very well be you going after a partner, you deciding that, you've been single for long enough and you want to go after someone. And so this could be you taking the initiative because you realize who's important, what's important, why it's important, and go after them, right? So it could be something like that as well. But this could also be highlighting your need to balance maybe yourself with relationships as well. Your need to emotionally be available to your partners and their needs and their wants and their desires. So it could be something like that as well. So we're going through all the cardinals right now. So for Libra and Libra rising, the sun is moving into your 10th house. So the sun moving into your 10th house, this is highlighting your career. This is highlighting your goals, your aspirations. This is highlighting your legacy that you want to leave behind. This is highlighting, the top of your chart and where you want to be and what you want to be doing out in the world and what you want to be known for. So there's definitely going to be a focus on that. And, the sun rules your 11th house of your hopes, your wishes, and your dreams. So maybe there's something going on here in this 10th house that has to do with your hopes, your wishes, and your dreams, right? And so with this full moon coming as well, just a few days after the sun ingresses into Cancer, this full moon in Capricorn is having to balance your home life against your career. there's something being illuminated in that fourth house for you. There's maybe something that needs to be reevaluated that's going on behind the scenes. You know, maybe there's a push-pull, maybe there's an opposition that's happening, right? I mean, because the sun and the moon are in opposition, but this could be needing to balance energies with other people and needing to understand what's going on the home front, and coming to a conclusion of what's going on the home front as well, to be able to move into that new moon that's coming in Cancer, you know, in a few weeks. So there's definitely a need to balance your home life and your professional life, and what it is that you want from it, and from really both aspects of it. So there is that. For Gemini and for Gemini rising, hopefully you can see that. This full moon is happening in, or no, I'm sorry. So the sun is moving out of your sign, Gemini. So you've had a lot of upheaval, a lot of crazy stuff going on, right? In partnership and with yourself and all other areas of your life. So now that the sun's moving out of your sign, it's moving into your second house of what it is that you value. Your second house is how you make your money. And so how you use your physical body to actually make money, your physical possessions, materials, your property even, it can have associations with that as well. But this is definitely highlighting your sense of worth, your sense of value. And so with this full moon coming up in Capricorn, this is highlighting other people. So there could be conversations on finalizing, completing a will, final testament, things like that, insurances, inheritances. There could be something that's been going on that's being illuminated in that eighth house terms of, you know, other people's money, whether or not this is money through your spouse. This could be maybe a completion of a job of a spouse. This could be a, words I'm looking for here. Completion of a job for a spouse. This could be the fulfillment of a loan, maybe if you had applied for a loan, maybe this is finalizing and completing it and getting it from that institution, because eighth house can be banks and things like that, and loans, debt, that type of thing. So that can definitely be that as well. But this, yeah, other people's money. This could be insurance payouts. This can be inheritance payouts. This can be maybe highlighting the need for change with your partner's finances or your finances. Could be something like that. And because the sun does rule your second house, or it does rule your third house, it's in your second house, there could be conversations that are happening at this full moon about finances and things like that going forward as well. So that is for Gemini. For Scorpio and for Scorpio rising, the sun is moving into your ninth house. So this is highlighting your worldview. This is the sun is coming into, you know, into your worldview, higher education, education. This could be travel. This could be learning something. This could be teaching something, right? Like there is a highlight that's happening. There's a focus that's happening, because where the sun goes, our attention follows, right? So there's a focus that's happening on this ninth house of education, teaching, travel, higher world view, like how you see the world. And so because this rules your 10th house as well, the sun rules your 10th house, this could be focusing on what it is that you're doing out in the world. This could be travel for, you know, over the course of the next, you know, month. This could be travel for work. This could be travel for career, right? Or this could be moving. This could be taking a trip. This could be taking a new course or teaching a new course, maybe redesigning a new course. This is also publishing, right? And marketing. So over the course of the next month, there's probably going to be a focus on publishing or marketing, whatever it is that you're doing. There could be something like that. But with this full moon coming, in your third house, right? And this week as well, after the sun ingresses into Cancer, there's a full moon that's happening in your third house of communication, of the minute details, right? So maybe there's something that you've been working on in terms of that publishing, marketing campaign, travel, education, what have you. And it's coming, there's a completion that's happening with the nitty gritty details, with the with, like, you know, the small, all the little details that make up that ninth house, right? Because when you think about the third and ninth axis, the third house is the details, the small details, all the little puzzle pieces. The ninth house would be, once the puzzle's all put together, you see that big picture, right? So that's what this is. So there's a completion of all those little finite details, and there's a reevaluation that needs to happen. And because you know, because the moon also rules your ninth house, there's a completion here, there's a finalization, there's a letting go, there's a implementation and a putting out into the world over the course of the next several weeks, right? From this full moon. And it's something that you can either have been working on or something that comes up. So there is that as well. So that is for Scorpio. For Pisces and Pisces rising, the sun moving into Cancer is moving into your fifth house. This is fun. This is joy. This is play. This is romance and sexiness. This, I mean, it could very well be sex, right? Because the fifth house does have that, the bed pleasures connotation. So, you know, this is a focus on your joy. This is a focus on what it is that you do for fun, that you do for joy. This could also be gambling. This could be, you know, the sun does rule your sixth house of your work, of what it is that you do every single day, on where you kind of slave away and do things like that, right? Your job, and your health and your wellness. So there could be joy happening in terms of those two areas of your life as well. But the sun moving into your fifth house, I mean, this is also expression. Where the sun goes, our attention follows. So the sun is going to be in a house that is in trine with your ascendant, in sextile with your descendant. So there's working with other people that could be involved, or this could be highlighting your need to self-express through joy, through, you know, whatever it is that what brings you pleasure. Excuse me. The full moon is happening in your 11th house. So your hopes, your wishes, your dreams, your ambitions, your goals, you know, the future that you want to create, and the friends and groups and organizations that you belong to, there's a culmination that's happening. Maybe there's something that needs to be reevaluated in that 11th house, and something that maybe needs to be refined, retuned, and let go over the coming weeks as we move into that new moon in the fifth house. Maybe something that you've been doing in that 11th house just is complete. It's run its course, it's complete, it's done, and you need to let it go. And so you need to also come back into balance, you know, and maybe focus on bringing joy to those friends groups, or to the groups and organizations that you belong to as well. It could be something like that too. So yeah, that's for Pisces and for Pisces rising. For Sagittarius and for Sagittarius rising, the sun moving into Cancer is moving into your 8th house. So where the sun goes, our attention follows. There's an emphasis on other people's money. There's an emphasis on, I mean, this is also your 9th house ruler. So there could be something over the course of the next month that happens that has to do with how you see death, how you see transformation, how you see power and control, how you see, because the 8th house is about power and control, right? So there could be something going on, maybe, you know, there's a focus on power and control. There's a focus on that, that place for you in terms of transforming what it is that you know about power and control, because this is also, the sun is the ruler of your 9th house, and really coming to grips and coming to terms with that worldview of what is going to serve the other, what is going to transform, and how to utilize power and control for those higher purposes, right? With the 9th, with the ruler of the 9th and the 8th. So there could be that as well. With the full moon happening, I mean, this is happening in your, in your 2nd house. So the full moon in your second house, this is highlighting your money, your materials, your possessions. This is highlighting what it is that you truly value and your value system as well. So where the sun is, it's focusing on others. Where the moon is, it's focusing on you and the money that you make, or your value system. Or, there's a need to balance you versus other. There's a need to understand that deeper meaning of self-transformation and the transformation that goes on in that 8th house. So there could be a need to balance your money versus other people's money. There could be a need to balance your sense of internal value against transforming what it is that you know to be true, right, and just as well in the world. So yeah, that is for Sagittarius and for Sagittarius rising. And for Virgo and Virgo rising. So for Virgos, the sun ingressing into Cancer is moving into your 11th house. So this is moving into your friends, your social networks, the groups and organizations and people, your hopes, your wishes, and your dreams. So where the sun goes, our attention follows, right? So you're going to be focused on connecting with other people, connecting with like-minded people, connecting with, connecting with your friends, connecting with people that feel like friends. And so this is where the focus is going to be over the course of this month. Now, for the full moon is happening in your 5th house. So there's a completion, there's something that's wrapping up, there's something that's being finalized, there's something that's being let go of in terms of your self-expression, in terms of your love affairs or lovers or romantic partners, boyfriend, girlfriend kind of thing. If it's not that, it could be your children, right? It could be maybe there's something that's being completed in the next few weeks with your kids. Something that needs to be balanced out between your aspirations and goals and your needing to spend time with your kids, right? It could be something like that. If you don't have kids, this could be, lovers. This could be, what's the words I'm looking for here? Mercury is stationing, man, and it's really wreaking havoc with my brain. With the moon, it could also be, I've seen it too, where in clients' charts, where it can also be animals. If you don't have children and you have pets, this could also be animals as well. And needing to balance what it is that you want to do with your social networks, with the people that you associate with things that you're doing online. And something comes up and is really intense around your animals, right? Animals, children, it's depends on what's going on there. Yeah, just a need to balance. There's a need to balance goals and aspirations against creative endeavors, even if it's not children, it's not pets, it's not lovers, it's our self-expression, it's the hobbies, the things that you love to do, things that bring you joy, things that bring you passion. And this can be, yeah, it can be a finalization, a completion. It's the moon is highlighting what's going on in that 5th house. There's a reflection that's happening based on where you want to go with, the sun in the 11th house and what you're passionate about, what you're truly passionate about. So there is that for Virgo rising people. For Leo and Leo rising, so the sun moving into Cancer, the sun is moving into your 12th house. So you're going to want to pull away from the world. You're going to want to go behind the scenes. You're going to want to be in solitude, be in seclusion, take that rest, take that quiet time, right? Pull away from the people and the everyday and all that. However, this full moon is happening in your 6th house of the things that you're doing every single day, right? So the sun rules you, it's in your 12th house. You want to pull away from the world. You want to either start a new, this could be an ashram, yoga, retreat center, hospital, even. This could be, prisons, this could be brothels, anywhere where you are secluded and alone. But there's this full moon that's happening in your 6th house of being plugged into the everyday world, being plugged into the everyday and the mundane and the things that you're going to do every single day. So with this full moon, there's a need to balance yourself against what it is that you need to do every day. There's a need to balance what it is that you're doing every day. This could also be the culmination, fruition. This could be a reevaluation and the beginning of letting go of a job, right? Because the 6th house is your job, like what you do every day. It's where you slave away for that pittance, you know? So there is that as well for Leo rising people. For Taurus, see that, there we go. For Taurus and for Taurus rising people, you know, the sun is moving into your 3rd house of communication, of writing, of speaking, of your siblings, of your neighborhood, of your neighbors, of the everyday conversations that you have, you know, with people, emails, text messages, phone calls. I mean, this is an area where the sun goes, our attention follows. So there could be things that are highlighted for you in terms of communicating and speaking and writing and things like that. And it becomes a daily thing, right? The full moon, though, is happening in your 9th house. There's something that is coming to completion, something that is coming to fruition, something that is coming to, you know, an ending over the next few weeks, a letting go of, you know, of your higher viewpoint of education, of travel, of teaching, publishing, writing. That's my 3rd house, but like there's it's your 3rd house ruler in your 9th. So there's something that's culminating here. There's something that is coming full circle, and something that is going to need to be evaluated over the coming weeks and let go of, in terms of how things maybe should look, right? So that is for Taurus. For Aquarius and Aquarius rising, the sun is moving into your 6th house of daily routines, of being engaged and plugged into the world and everything that you need to do, and slaving away and doing something every single day. This is also your 7th house ruler. So this could be maybe you working with a partner every single day on a job, or doing something every single day with someone as well. There's also, you know, over the coming, you know, month with the sun here in Cancer, this can see you focusing on your work relationships, focusing on the relationships that you have with the people that you work with. So it could be that as well. Now, this full moon that's happening in your 12th house in Capricorn, this is a culmination, a fruition, a completion, a finalization, a reevaluation, and a letting go over the next few weeks of something that's going on behind the scenes, some type of maybe addiction, some type of behind the scenes kind of thing. And this is your 6th house ruler. So maybe there's been something that's been going on every single day, or there's been something that's been ongoing. And this is the end of it. This is the end of some type of behind the scenes, kind of behind the veil, behind the curtain issue, addiction, you know, because it is a house of addictions, and it's ending. There's something else that is being highlighted. There's something that's being brought to light in that 12th house, in that deep psyche that we all have, you know. So there's something that's coming to an end there over the next few weeks as well. So that is for Aquarius. For Aries and for Aries rising, you know, the sun is moving into your 4th house. It's moving out of your communication sector. No, thank you. There's, you know, it's moving out of what it is that you're thinking, speaking, writing, communicating about, and it's moving into the home. It's moving into a hidden house, something that's at the bottom of the chart. So this is also your 5th house ruler. So there could be, you know, there could be some other things at play here that are going on behind the scenes at home, maybe to do with your children, or maybe to do with projects, hobbies, things like that. But and that's over the course of this next month. Now there will be the full moon this coming week too, in your 10th house of your career, of your public reputation, of what it is that you're known for, who it is you're known as, and the legacy that you want to leave behind. And so this full moon is illuminating that balance that needs to be there behind, yes, because there's a child behind me that's trying to throw me off my game here. She's not gonna do it. So, there's a push-pull that's happening. There's a balance that needs to be struck between what it is that you're doing out in the world, what it is that you're known for, and what it is that you come home to behind the scenes. So there's going to be a crisis point with this over the coming couple of weeks. And so there's going to be something that needs to be reevaluated and let go of in terms of what it is that you're doing out in the world. A full moon is a completion, a fruition, a culmination, and a reevaluation of these two areas of our lives. So that is for Aries rising, and I thank you, and I hope you all have a great week, and good luck. See you soon.